Saint Augustine, Commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 17, following. Can it be supposed that the Proverbs themselves contain such a plain announcement? Why then is it said, I will declare to you openly, but just because that in Proverbs is not openly? But when it is no longer concealed in Proverbs, but uttered in plain words, then without a doubt it is spoken openly. How then had he manifested what he had not as yet openly declared? It must be understood therefore in this way, that the past tense is put for the future, like those other words, all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. Chapter 15, verse 15. As something he had not yet done, but spoke of as if he had, because his doing of it he knew to be infallibly predetermined. But what are we to make of the words, whom you gave me out of the world? For it is said of them that they were not of the world, but this they attained to by regeneration, and not by generation. And what also of that which follows, yours they were, and you gave them me? Was there a time when they belonged to the Father, and not to his only begotten Son? And had the Father once on a time anything apart from the Son? Surely not. Nevertheless, there was a time when God the Son had something, which that same Son as man possessed not. For he had not yet become man of an earthly mother, when he possessed all things in common with the Father. Wherefore, in saying, yours they were, there is thereby no self-disruption made by God the Son, apart from whom there was nothing ever possessed by the Father. But it is his custom to attribute all the power he possesses to him of whom he himself is, who has the power. For of whom he has it that he is, of him he has it that he is able. And both together he always had, for he never had been without having ability. Accordingly, whatever the Father could do, always side by side with him could the Son, since he, who never had been without having ability, was never without the Father, as the Father never was without him. And thus, as the Father is eternally omnipotent, so is the Son co-eternally omnipotent, and if all-powerful, certainly all-possessing. Chapter 15, verse 19. For such rather, if we would speak exactly, is the word by which we translate what is called by the Greeks pantokrator, which our writers would not interpret by the term omnipotent, seeing that pantokrator in Greek is all-possessing. Were it not that they felt it to be equivalent in meaning, what then could the eternal all-possessing ever have that the co-eternal all-possessing had not likewise? In saying therefore, and you gave them me, he intimated that it was as man he had received this power to have them, seeing that he who was always omnipotent was not always man. Accordingly, while he seems rather to have attributed it to the Father, that he received them from him, since all that is of him, of whom he is, yet he also gave them to himself, that is Christ, God with the Father, gave man to the manhood of Christ, which had not its being with the Father. Finally, he who says in this place, yours they were, and you gave them me, had already said in a previous passage to the same disciples, I have chosen you out of the world. chapter 15, verse 19. Here then let every carnal thought be crushed and annihilated. The Son says that the men were given him by the Father out of the world, to whom he says elsewhere, I have chosen you out of the world. Those whom God the Son chose along with the Father out of the world, the very same Son as man received out of the world from the Father. For the Father had not given them to the Son, had he not chosen them. And in this way, as the Son did not thereby set the Father aside when he said, I have chosen you out of the world, seeing that they were simultaneously chosen by the Father also, as little did he thereby exclude himself when he said, yours they were, for they were equally also the property of the Son. But now that same Son as man received those who belong not to himself, because he also as God received a servant form which was not originally his own. He proceeds to say, and they have kept your word. Now they have known that all things whatsoever you have given me are of you. That is, they have known that I am of you. For the Father gave all things at the very time when he begot him who was to have all things. For I have given unto them, he says, the words which you gave me, and they received them. That is, they have understood and kept hold of them. For the word is received when it is perceived by the mind. And they have known truly, he adds, that I came out from you, and they have believed that you did send me. In this last clause, we must also supply truly, from when he said, they have known truly. He intended its explanation by adding, and they have believed. That therefore they have believed truly, which they have known truly. Just as I came out from you is the same as you did send me. When therefore he said they have known truly, lest any might suppose that such a knowledge was already acquired by sight and not by faith, he subjoined the explanation, and they have believed, so that we should supply truly and understand the saying, they have known truly as equivalent to, they have believed truly. Not in the way which he intimated shortly before when he said, do you now believe? The hour comes and is now come that you shall be scattered, every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. Chapter 16, verse 31 and 32. But they have believed truly, that is, in the way it ought to be believed, without constraint, with firmness, constancy, and fortitude, no longer now to go to their own and leave Christ alone. As yet indeed the disciples were not of the he here describes in words of the past tense, as if they were so already, but as thereby declaring beforehand what sort they were yet to be, namely, when they had received the Holy Spirit, who, according to the promise, should teach them all things. For how was it before they received the Spirit that they kept that word of his which he spoke regarding them, as if they had done so when the chief of them thrice denied him? After hearing from his lips the future fate of the man who denied him before men. Matthew chapter 26, verse 69 to 74, and Matthew chapter 10, verse 33. He had given them, therefore, as he said, the words which the Father gave him. But when at length they received them spiritually, not in an outward way with their ears, but inwardly in their hearts, then they truly received them, for then they truly knew them. And they truly knew them because they truly believed. But what human language will suffice to explain how the Father gave those words to the Son? The question, of course, will appear easier if we suppose him to have received such words in his capacity as the Son of Man. And yet, although thus born of the Virgin, who will undertake to relate when and how it was he learnt them, it was that he learned them, since even that very generation which he had of the Virgin, who will venture to declare, but if our idea be that he received these words of the Father in his capacity as begotten of and co-eternal with the Father, let us then exclude all such thoughts of time as if he existed previous to his possessing them, and so received the possession of that which he had not before. For whatever God the Father gave to God the Son, he gave in the act of begetting. For the Father gave those things to the Son without which he could not be the Son, in the same manner as he gave him being itself. But how otherwise would he give any words to the Word, wherein in an ineffable way he has spoken all things? But now, in reference to what follows, you must defer your expectations till another discourse.